welcome back to another video. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for being patient with me. I know I've been gone for a bit, and I'm going to explain why, but really just thank you. You guys are always great, so I appreciate it. And yeah, so for today's video, don't mind the noise, it's daytime out, so sorry about that. But for today's video, it's going to be a bit of a ramble, sort of a guided ramble. I know what I want to talk about, but I haven't really prepared a whole lot, so we'll see where it goes. I don't really do a lot of these, but I feel like I should do more because I like to talk. Like, I talk all the time about nothing, so I feel like, why not do more videos like this? I'm also going to be chewing some gum for a bit. Let me know if you guys prefer videos with gum or without. I know it's usually sort of like a mixed bag, but I don't know. I don't know what you guys would prefer, so just let me know, I guess. I have extra, which is spearmint, is the flavor. Sorry, I feel like I'm still getting over a cold, and my throat is like being annoying. Okay, so before I get into where I've been, I just want to say I have some really awesome followers and subscribers and people who just comment on my content, and so I'm really, really grateful for that. I know I say that a lot, but it's always true, so I always want to say it. It's just like, you guys are always so nice. And I want to give a shout out to my girl Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you're awesome. I so appreciate that you take the time to literally watch like all of my videos. You always have such nice things to say about them, and like, it really makes me feel so good. A lot of you guys do that, but just wanted to throw it out there. And also, I am reading all of your comments about things you want to see, and I definitely plan on incorporating a lot of those things. I just haven't had the time to do it, so don't think that your comments have gone unnoticed. I look at all of them, so just putting that out there too. So anyway, getting into this like weird ramble. I have been away for a bit because, first off, I was sick, which is always annoying, but it's that time of year, so like, what can you do, really? Nothing. So I've just been feeling really nasty, and I had like a pretty rough cough, and my nose was literally a faucet like all throughout the day, which is really cute, so didn't really feel like being on camera with all that. And just like generally, I just felt gross and sick and whatever. You know what it's like to be sick. I don't have to explain that. I was sick, whatever. And it just sort of dragged on and on. And then finally, I was starting to feel better. And I had like this day planned where it was like a little bit crazy. I had 2 shows I was going to. One in the day, which was weird. It was like 12 to 5. And there were a lot of different bands playing, so that was cool. But like, you know, it's kind of a long time. And then later that night, I went to another show, and that was from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And so like, it was like a long day for me. Usually I'm not like a lame-o, but it like really hit me the next day. And also, the evening show that I went to ended up giving me whiplash, which is like the dumbest thing I've ever had to explain to people. Like, how do you go so hard that you give yourself whiplash? Like, how stupid is that? And I go to a lot of shows. Like, I've gone to 5 this month already. Like, I'm always frequenting shows, and I'm usually fine. But I guess I just like pulled something like really wrong. I don't even know. I just woke up. I couldn't move my neck. days, my entire head was tingling, like almost like ASMR, except like I knew it was bad. I knew I should not have been feeling it. Like, I almost felt like a little out of body. And so yeah, it turned out I had a little bit of whiplash. So then I really didn't want to record. I just like felt so gross, and like I was struggling to focus a bit. I feel fine now. I feel better. My neck cracks a little bit. I think I like pulled something, but it's fine. That's what happens when you're like a little too extra, like at the club, whatever. The venue wasn't even a club. So yeah, that's where I've been. And then just in general, it's been sort of crazy. I've been like just having a packed schedule, trying to stay busy, and maybe a little bit too busy. So anyway, my goal is to get back into the sync of things with the new year and all of that. So yeah, I don't know what that's gonna look like. I'm gonna try to do a bit more this weekend, and I'll see where that gets me. But I'm gonna do my best. That's all I can say. So yeah, let me know how you guys have been doing, and if you've ever gone to like a show that you went really crazy at, and how it went. And actually, while I'm on the topic of shows, this isn't what I was planning to talk about, but you know how it goes. I went and saw Panic at the Disco yesterday, and that show was insanely good. I just have to say, Brendan Urie has like, I don't know, he's been dangerously blessed with talent. It's crazy. Like, so much talent in one human body should not be allowed. Like, his show was so good. He was like doing backflips, and just also his vocal range in general, it's like so impressive. I read that he can like quickly range from 4 different octaves, and it's so true. Like, it shows when he's performing. Like, he covered Bohemian Rhapsody, nailed it, totally nailed it. I can't even sing like any song decently, and I don't know, it's just, he's so impressive to me. So it's a really good show, and yeah, just thought I would throw that out there. So anyway, so I guess the more planned, if at all, part of this little video and conversation here is focused more on mental health. And I know that to some that may have turned into a bit of a cliche, like, oh, let's have a conversation about mental health. Like, I feel like everyone says that now, and some people are kind of like, yeah, we get it, like, we have to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it's such an ongoing thing. You know, mental health is like a daily thing for a lot of people. And so the conversations need to be happening all the time, really. So I'm not going to be talking about it as like, we need to talk about this. I'm going to try to like cover something that I think is important and beneficial to know about, while also sort of just rambling about it in general. And before, I guess, I get into, sorry, like, you can tell this is not really that planned. I'm like thinking what I'm going to say. Before I get into like the focus of this greater conversation, I just want to really talk about the fact that mental health should not be such a stigma. Again, another cliche. I get it, I know. But it typically becomes such a somber and dark and difficult conversation. And I understand. I understand that for a lot of people it is hard to talk about, and it takes time to learn, you know, how to come out and be open about things like that. So I get it. But I think that we need to have a shift in our conversation about casual and lax and sometimes a little bit joking, not because, I'm trying to put it in a negative way or be like, oh, this is a joke to me, because obviously it's not, but I just want a comfortable atmosphere when talking about it. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm talking to my friends about it, I can tell that they're feeling more comfortable and they're like, oh, okay, like, clearly this is a safe space. We can have this conversation. I can be honest with you. You're not going to judge me. You're not going to make me feel uncomfortable and weird and like, because a lot of people don't know how to respond when we're talking about serious things. And the conversation can be serious, but you can also take it in a comfortable, easy way, like right now. I'm just chilling by my couch, talking about mental health. It's not, it's a serious conversation, but I'm not all serious and harsh about it, because we should be able to like free flow about it. So anyway, and something I really love about Grace V, you probably all know her, but in the rare chance that you don't, she is an ASMR artist, and she covers a lot of conversations about mental health and positivity and self-care and that kind of thing. And something that I really appreciate is the way she talks about pain and how pain is pain no matter what. It could be something really small that triggered you, and maybe you're like, I shouldn't talk about this because XYZ people over here have way bigger problems than I do. You cannot compare your pain to someone else's, because at the end of the day, you're both in pain, you're both hurting. Okay, so what I really want to talk about today in this video is a mental health first aid course that I took for free in my area. So the book that I was given, it's called Mental Health First Aid USA, and it was a full day's course where we were given a lot of activities and worksheets, and we followed along in this book. So I'm not exactly sure how it works in other places, but for me, I was able to sign up online for free, and I just showed up to a location of my choosing, and I was able to take the course, get certified, and yeah, that was pretty much it. It was super easy and very, very beneficial. So that's sort of what I want to talk about today. I'm sure I'll say this again later on, but my intention is not to be educating you on mental health first aid, but to just give you an idea of really what the program is and how it might benefit you or someone you know. So, like I said, we're given this lovely book, and I bookmarked a few things in here that I want to talk about, and just my goal is to give a bit of an overview of this book and the program itself, and you can decide if that's useful to you or not. So, to start off, it explains, what is mental health, why is it important, why do we need to care about it, that sort of thing, common myths of mental health disorders, things like that. But something I find particularly interesting, it's a section called How Common Are Mental Health Disorders, and it sort of breaks it down. Let's see. It breaks down different disorders and the percentages that adults face those disorders. So 18.1% of adults associate with or have been diagnosed with anxiety disorders. Actually, I think this is, strictly diagnosed. And adults 18 years or older. So 18.1% of adults have been diagnosed with anxiety disorders, 6.8% major depressive disorder, 8.1% substance use disorder, 2.8% bipolar disorder, 5 to 10% eating disorder, 0.3 to 0.7% schizophrenia, and any mental disorder in general, 18.5%. Now, this survey was conducted in 2013, and also keep in mind, these are the people who chose to disclose their status and the way that they feel and how they've been diagnosed, right? Because a lot of people feel uncomfortable talking about mental health and mental health disorders, so, you know, the survey is probably pretty off. I would say the numbers are probably higher. That's just my input on it, but still, it's interesting to see a large population of people really are facing mental health disorders. So that's why there is a need for mental health first aid. And you think about it, we have first aid for people who get injured, physically injured, but mental health, you're still sustaining an injury. You still need help, you need support, and that is the entire purpose of this course, is figuring out how you can be of assistance to someone in need, whether that need is severe and urgent and instant, or an ongoing need, just providing that additional support to help somebody get through their day. So it can take a lot of different forms. Also, my apartment complex, I am right next to the elevator, so if you hear something that sounds like a fan or a really annoying white noise, something, it's the elevator going up and down. There are so many noises here in this beautiful city, and there's just nothing I can do about it. You can literally hear it right now. I'm sorry. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm going to be covering today. So yeah, I'm sorry. And what this program talks about specifically throughout the entire book and throughout every section we cover is the algae method. And this is something that you can use for any individual. So algae, it's spelled out A-L-G-E-E. And so the A stands for assess for risk of suicide or harm. L, listen non-judgmentally. G, give reassurance and information. E is encourage appropriate professional help. And E is encourage self-help and other support strategies. So that is the action plan. Those are the steps to think about when you are trying to assist someone who is going through something difficult. And that's something I'll be talking about through this little video here. So yeah. So something that I really like about this book, this program, this entire thing is it covers things that might seem unnecessary but 100% are necessary. You know, a lot of times we think of things as very commonplace or self-explanatory or obvious, but we really need those reminders at times, because when you're in a difficult situation, sometimes you kind of go off the rails and you need to remember specific steps and benchmarks and best practices to make sure that you are being effective in your care. So we have tips for non-judgmental listening, effective communication skills for non-judgmental listening, you know, tips on what isn't supportive. So some of those: don't tell someone with depression to get better, as they cannot snap out of it or just get over it. Do not be hostile or sarcastic when the person attempts to be responsive, but rather accept these responses as the best the person has to offer at that given moment. Do not nag the person to try to get them what they would normally want to do. Maybe at that time they just physically feel like they cannot do it, they don't want to do it. Do not belittle or dismiss the person's feelings by attempting to say something positive like, "You don't seem that bad to me." Resist the urge to try to cure the person's depression or provide answers to their problems. So it's important to reiterate points like this because sometimes we forget, especially in the moment like that. It's really hard. So this book really simplifies all of that, you know what I mean? And I think that's greatly appreciated, at least to me. I think it's helpful. And then throughout each section, there are helpful resources at the end. So I'll just rattle off a few of them in case they're helpful to you. And for me, I didn't know a lot of these existed. And that's the problem too in trying to get resources out to people. We don't know about them. There are solutions to a lot of problems that we don't know about because we just don't. It's hard to get the word out sometimes. So, some helpful resources for depression and suicidal intentions include American Association of Suicidology, which is suicidology.org. American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is afsp.org. Brain and Behavior Research Foundation, which is bbrfoundation.org. Mental Health America, which is mentalhealthamerica.net/mental health screening tools. It's a long one. Depression Screening, which is depression-screening.org. Moodgym, GYM, Moodgym, which is moodgym.anu.edu.au. moodgym.anu.edu.au. National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is NAMI.org. National Council for Behavioral Health, which is the nationalcouncil.org. Postpartum Support International, which is postpartum.net. Suicide Prevention Resource Center, which is sprc.org. And then it has a list of books and helplines. And I'm going to list a lot of these resources below in case they're helpful to you or anyone you know. They're kind of just good to have in your back pocket, honestly. You don't know when you might need something like that. Oh, there's a whole other page. And then it has support groups. And again, this is all for depression, so there's different sections throughout the book and the program with resources specific to that mental health issue. So, support groups include American Self-Help Group Clearinghouse, Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Recovery International, and Safe Alternatives, SAFE, which is Self-Abuse Finally Ends. So those are a few of the resources. Like I said, I'll post some of them below in the description box. If anyone even goes in there, I don't even know. I'll put it there in case. Okay. So then, the program, just so you can get a layout of it in this book. If you ever take the course, it starts with depression, after the main overview, of course. Depression, and then we move on to anxiety disorders. And again, covering what exactly are anxiety disorders, how prevalent are they among adults, best practices, how to assess when somebody is struggling, whether they are in immediate immediate need or just, looking for support, what you can do in the moment, and where you can refer them. So specifically those resources, and sort of just helping them, guiding them, making sure they have what they need to get the resources they need access to. So this section covers different types of anxiety disorders like agoraphobia, social anxiety disorder, other specific phobias, obsessive compulsive disorder, just to give people a better understanding of what each of them are instead of just clumping it into anxiety, because anxiety means different things to a lot of people. Again, talking about algae and how it relates to the issue at hand, which again, algae, assess for risk of suicide or harm, listen non-judgmentally, give reassurance and information, encourage appropriate professional help, and encourage self-help and other support strategies. So, all important stuff. Symptoms of a panic attack, which, if you've had one, it's not pleasant at all. So just kind of covering that. And then, let's see, after that we have psychosis. And I know, again, I'm talking about this like very matter of fact. Not to say that these aren't very serious concerns and illnesses, but just because I think we should be able to talk about them and know exactly what each of these illnesses consists of, what it means, what it looks like, how to handle it, deal with it, help people with those illnesses. So that's why I'm kind of just like, oh, psychosis. It is very serious. Okay. So, types of disorders in which psychosis can occur. We have schizophrenia. What are the symptoms? What does that look like? How do you identify that in somebody? Bipolar disorder, schizoaffective disorder, drug-induced psychosis. There are a lot of things. And luckily, there's a lot of education out there in this book, online, different resources that can educate people about it, which is important. Because people are put off, they're uncomfortable with things they don't know about. So the more we can learn about them and talk about them, the easier we can get through them together. So, again, algae in every section, how to adapt it to that particular illness. Very important. Let me just go back for a second, because I was mentioning anxiety disorders, but I didn't go through the resources like I did with the depression section. And in case it is helpful to you guys, I would like to just mention a few of them, just so you're aware. So, for anxiety, we have, for websites, Anxiety and Depression Association of America, which is, sorry, I don't have a lot of room, adaa.org/understanding anxiety/panic disorder agoraphobia /symptoms. They need to really shorten some of these things. Anxiety Panic Attack Resource Site, which is anxietypanic.com. Benson Henry Institute for Mind-Body Medicine, which is massgeneral.org-PHI. eCouch, which is ecouch.anu.edu.au. And just in case you're wondering, eCouch provides information about emotional problems, including depression and anxiety disorders. Yeah, in case you were wondering, like, why is it called eCouch? And again, apologies if my voice is a little hoarse. Whispering for a while is like a little challenging right now. Okay, Freedom from Fear, which is just freedomfromfear.org. Mental Health America, mentalhealthamerica.net. And I think the rest of them we covered, except for Obsessive Compulsive Foundation, which is ocfoundation.org. books. I'm not gonna go through all of the books. There's a lot of them. Helplines. We have American Psychiatric Association Answer Center and American Psychological Association Public Education Line. So, just to be aware of what's out there. There are a lot of programs, support groups, books, resources out there if you are seeking them. So, and now I'll go back to psychosis. Just talk about those resources briefly. And when I was doing this course, I had no idea there were so many resources out there. So it's important to know about them. Okay, psychosis. I'll only repeat the ones that weren't already mentioned. Or, I won't repeat the ones I already mentioned. Right. Pendulum, Pentulum.org. This is a nonprofit organization providing information on bipolar disorder. Schizophrenia.com. The rest of them are the more general resources. Recovery International is a support group, and there's also Schizophrenia and Related Disorders Alliance of America. That is another support group that people can join. So, from there we have substance use disorders, which includes obviously drugs and alcohol. We learned a lot about that. And I learned during this training that you can also become certified in Narcan distribution. I don't know if that's the exact terminology, but you can take a course to learn about Narcan and how to use it when somebody is overdosing through like an opioid overdose. I think it's just opioids where it's effective. And essentially it looks like just a little nose spray that people take, when they have allergies. You put it up one nostril. I didn't take the course, but he talked a little bit about it. You put it up a nostril if they're unconscious, and I think you wait 3 minutes. Don't go by this, like, I didn't take the course. But you wait something like 3 minutes and see if that person wakes up, becomes conscious. If not, you put a spray, or maybe a few sprays, into the other nostril. It has to be the other nostril. And then by that time they should wake up. Sorry, lots of horns. But the Narcan, it only works for a certain amount of time. So even if that person is like coming back to normal, like they appear okay, they still need to get to a hospital because they are still having an overdose. So they need to get that out of their system. They need to go to a hospital. So it's pretty much an entire course focused on that and how to handle that particular situation, because that is a big deal. And with that certification, you are provided with Narcan, so you can keep it on you in case of the event where somebody is having an opioid overdose. So in case anyone is interested in that. So yeah, this covers general substance abuse. Alcohol is sort of talked about separately, though it is in the same realm. But the withdrawal is a little bit different, and they kept focusing in the program about how alcohol withdrawal is actually the most dangerous, which a lot of people don't know, and I was sort of surprised about that too. Something the way about how it's done, like going cold turkey and this and that. I forgot exactly what he said about it, but my course instructor. But just learning like what the proper steps to go through is very valuable, because a lot of people don't know and they put themselves in dangerous situations because they don't have the resources to know. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not common knowledge, right? So people need to know. So anyway, talking about different types of drugs, hallucinogens, amphetamines, tobacco even, because it is important to break it down. So, what to do in certain situations, more best practices, treatments. And then so for the resource section, sorry, all my legs are falling asleep, all two of them. So websites, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is smokefree.gov, National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, Inc., which is ncadd.org, National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, which is niaaa.nih.gov. I'm gonna move my seltzer. It's kind of loud. I hope you can't hear it. National Institute on Drug Abuse, which is nida.nih.gov. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, samhsa.gov. Again, I will post these, but just in case any of them pop out to you, you want to know right now. That's why I'm reading them. Screening sites. Do I have a drug problem? Drugscreening.org. How much is too much? Alcoholscreening.org. Helplines for tobacco. National Cancer Institute Smoking Quit Line. Smoking cessation centers. Support groups. Al-Anon and Alateen, which is alanon.org and alateen.org. Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, which is na.org or aa.org, depending on which. And then you have eating disorders. So, just like all the other sections going through, explaining what it really means for people who are dealing with them. Resources. National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, which is ANAD.org. National Eating Disorders Association, which is nationaleatingdisorders.org. And the rest are the more general resources. Support groups there is in Eating Disorders Anonymous and in Overeaters Anonymous. So you have both sides of the spectrum there. And then last, it's really just mental health first aid. You've learned about all of the different illnesses that you can be supportive in some way. So now what do you do? That sort of closes out the program and gives you all of the very specific types of aid that you can provide. So it's really important. Again, I'm not an educator. I don't want to be giving out advice here. I think that is the educator's job. But just to give you an idea of what this program looks like, the types of things that you'll be learning along the way, what that could do for you, what that could mean for you, etc. And taking the course, I will say, was very beneficial to me. And just so, I don't know, enlightening, I guess. It was very activities based, so there was one particular activity where we had to link up with partners and basically act out as if this person is struggling and you're asking them, are you planning to kill yourself? Are you having suicidal thoughts? And it sounded so simple at the time, but to look someone in the face, remain completely neutral and say, do you have thoughts of killing yourself? Are you thinking about suicide? That kind of conversation is really difficult. And of course, I was doing it with someone I didn't really know. So imagine doing that with your best friend, a sibling, a family member, a colleague, I don't know, someone that you actually know. it's really difficult, and to take the emotion out of it, because you need to be that rock for them, that support for them. And so having activities like that throughout the program really made me realize the work that you need to put in to be good with mental health first aid. So things like that you're not thinking about, you need to be so cognizant of, because it is important. If you're asking someone, hey, do you have like thoughts of suicide? Are you thinking about killing yourself? If you say it like that, they're not gonna want to talk to you. So you need to be open, neutral, comforting. So things like that, those activities are really helpful to get you in the proper frame to be able to help someone. So again, I highly recommend it. The book is Mental Health First Aid USA. You can probably honestly get it online as like a PDF. I don't know, but I'm sure there's plenty of program resources for you if you are interested, or just look into taking a class. Like I said, mine was free. There are plenty of them out there. They need people out on the streets helping out, because mental health, it's prevalent, it's out there. People need help and support. So I'm just gonna close out with 7 super skills to help a friend in need. I was given this cute little flyer. See, look at that, we're making it okay to talk about. You know, it doesn't have to be scary. So, 7 super skills to help a friend in need. 1 is calmness. Comforts your friend in a time of need. What? Yeah, okay. Comforts your friend in a time of need. Being calm. I messed up how I read that, but you get what I'm saying. Honesty encourages your compadre to trust you. Non-judgmental attitude creates a safe space for your chum. Resourcefulness gives your buddy ideas on where to get help. Empathy shows that you really care. Reassuring makes your amigo feel like things are going to be okay. Okay. Because they are going to be okay. You can do it. Encouraging helps your mate get help and support. And this flyer came from mentalhealthfirstaid.org. So go there if you'd like to have your own copy. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. Sort of a guided ramble, I don't know. Just something I've been thinking about a lot that I wanted to share with you guys. So let me know what you think. Let me know if I can be a resource in another way, if I can provide you with more information about this, or if you have your own information to share with me to make me, more aware of what's going on out in the world, how I can be a better advocate, supporter, etc. So, thank you guys for watching. I will be back soon, hopefully, with another video, and I look forward to seeing you then.